Alright. Get it out, get it out.
It's not gonna come out. It's
Yeah,
just
no,
it's
me
like
neither.
perpetual now.
Is that like
Ever since I
scratch,
got the
right?
crud.
Like the dry cough that you
Yeah,
can
I
never
got the crud
satisfy?
and it won't go away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too.
I finally had to take, now I'm on like some heavy duty, like 2-week antibiotic thing, trying to get rid of it.
It's no fun. Stay out of the sun.
Why?
Because you'll get sunburn with antibiotics. You burn
Oh.
easy. Why else?
I don't go in the sun anyway, basically.
Alright, me too. Hey zombies, can you believe your eyes? Because I can't. This is V Neal, and if you're on this channel, you probably already love makeup, and if you love makeup, you probably know all about her. She's a 3-time Academy Award winning makeup artist and creature extraordinaire, and she's also a judge on Face Off, which is on Sci-Fi, and now she's in my apartment.
Yep.
How did that happen? Hi V, how are you?
I'm excellent. How are you today?
I'm okay. I've got the cough. You've got the cough.
I've got the cough.
We've all got the cough. Yeah. So, but we want to talk about makeup and life. You have just inspired, I feel like, a whole generation of people because you are the real Glamagore queen. You do beauty. You do FX.
I do.
So I wanted to ask you the generic questions. Let's get them out of the way.
Okay.
How did you get started, and how do you come up with your sources of inspiration when you're working from day to day?
Well, I got started back in the 70s, and I was working with some rock and roll bands, and they wanted to have big heads and pointed ears, and I said, well, you know, I've always wanted to do that, but I don't know how to do that, so I'll go find out. And I did. I went to a science fiction convention, and I met these guys who had these Planet of the Apes makeups on, and I said to them, I said, hey, you guys, where did you get those masks? And they said, oh, they're not masks, they're makeup. And I said, okay. I said, where did you get those makeups? And they said, we made them. And I said, will you teach me? And he said, but you're a girl. And I said, yeah, isn't it fabulous?
Ah.
And the rest is history. I started learning then, and I never stopped.
So, question then, on the subject of being a girl in makeup, it is definitely a male-dominated industry, at least for special effects, wouldn't you say?
I wouldn't say for actual application it's a male-dominated world. It might be a male-dominated field as far as like owning, you know, a makeup studio and actually building and sculpting and doing all that. That is definitely still a male-dominated world. And I don't know why it just is. It's like everybody always said to me, you know, V, why haven't you opened up your own studio? And I said, because I don't want the responsibility, number one. And number two, I love to be on set, and I love to be, you know, with people, and I want to, you know, I want to apply. That was my love, was always applying. So once you get into a studio, you get into that, the part where you have to be there all the time and run it and make sure everything's going well. And then that takes you away from being on the set. And
Right.
that was my first love, was being on the set. So
What do you love about being on set so much?
I just love interacting with people and just the whole process of it, working with the director, you know, with the camera guys, and just seeing how it all comes to life. And I love bringing characters to life.
What's your thought process? Because you do create the characters and you apply them.
Well,
so how do you...
it's not a singular thing. It's not. I don't create those characters by myself.
Right.
I mean, a lot of times it'll come. I work with studios, like different studios. Like I work with Stan Winston Studios, and also because of the fact that I've done a lot of films with Tim Burton. Tim is an artist, so he has created a lot of these characters already.
Right.
For instance, when we did Beetlejuice, when I first met him, I went into the office with him to talk to him, and he had drawings of what he thought Beetlejuice should look like. And actually Beetlejuice looked kind of like a derelict in the drawings, and they were just really rudimentary drawings. So I said, well, let me take the drawings and go back to the makeup trailer and let me do a test, you know. So I did a test. I took some Polaroids. I brought him back to Tim for Tim to look at, and he goes, oh no, he's way too disturbing. I mean, you know, nobody will be able to look at him. He said, tone it down. So I went back, I toned it down a little bit, and he goes, no, it's still not right. And I said, okay. I said, why don't you just let me do what I want to do? I'll go back and figure it out. He goes, okay, just go do whatever you think is right. So I went back to the trailer, and then I created Beetlejuice, basically, because I took him away from looking like a realistic bum to that kind of very crazy looking character that he was. He was more like all the people in the waiting room, the
Right.
colored people. He was actually not white. His foundation was actually a very pale yellow. It just reads very white-like, you know.
Oh, interesting.
But you know, around his eyes was like purples and browns, and his wig, of course, was that pale lemony, you know, yellow-green color. And he was actually quite fun to do. And I took it back to me. He goes, "Oh yeah, that's fantastic," because I just wanted him to look like he crawled out from underneath a rock, and basically that's what we did.
He did.
So
Now, does the costume design come after the makeup, or do you go off the costume in a case like Beetlejuice?
well, in Beetlejuice, that was kind of a collaborative thing. I think it sort of all happened organically, you know. So it was kind of, we already knew he was going to look basically like he looked. But a lot of times, makeup will come last. Like for instance, like in the Hunger Games, when I was creating Effie's looks, makeup was always last because we have to get her profile first. So we were predicated by her wardrobe. So we always worked really closely with the costume designer, and we'll find out what she's wearing. And then Linda and I would work together, the hairstylist, and she would create the hair, which would be, you know, part of the profile, because that's really important. You know, you
Right.
don't want to you don't want to put the cart before the horse. So the last thing to do was to make the makeup was always complementary of the wardrobe and the hair. And a lot of times if you see those makeups by themselves, they don't look all that bizarre. You know, it's only when you put them together with
Right, the whole
everything does it
package.
all look, you know, fantastic together. So
Right.
that's why the makeup for me on those characters always came last. But it's not always the way, you know. We all work together. You really have to work together. But usually, always in a film, the wardrobe always comes first because the costume designer is designing months ahead of you.
Right, that makes sense. Somebody asked a very good question on Lay Instagram. They asked if there was ever a job you regretted not taking. You know, like Will Smith was supposed to be Neo in The Matrix. And he didn't
Oh,
take it.
right. I think that I was offered Shawshank Redemption, and I loved the script. I was actually at my house in Montana when I got the script, and I read it and I said, "Oh my God, this movie is fantastic. This is going to be amazing." But I felt because so much of it took place in prison and there were so many men involved, I really thought it would be better if a male makeup artist did it. So I gave him some suggestions and said, I don't think, and I was much younger then, obviously. So I just said, I think it's a more appropriate job for a male makeup artist. And then I saw the movie and I went, oh, what a dummy. It was actually for years, it was probably my favorite movie that had come out in a long time.
It's a lot of people's favorites.
Yeah,
I haven't seen it yet.
Shame on
I
you,
know.
girl.
I wanted to talk to you a little bit about social media
Uh-huh.
and makeup artistry because we talked a little bit on the phone about how, you know, this industry is changing a lot. A lot of industries are changing because of the internet and social media, and
Yeah.
I feel like it's really vitiated the professional industry to have to. I mean, people aren't getting jobs right now unless they have a social media profile. I've heard of like really weird things where it's almost a prerequisite to have some kind of a following for jobs. Also, it's at the same time not taken seriously in the professional industry. And what are your thoughts on that? And how do you see social media as an asset or hindrance to makeup as a whole?
I don't think it's a hindrance, and I think it's a completely different genre right now. And also, you said people don't get jobs because they don't have, you know, visibility on social media. But I think also it depends on the type of job you're talking about, because in my profession you have to be in the union, so that having a social media presence
Means
doesn't
nothing. Yeah.
it means nothing basically.
Right.
But I mean, certainly for you know, non IA type jobs and stuff like that, independent jobs, commercial work, you know, runway. I don't know if it does anything for runway either, because that's, or you know, like red carpet stuff. I mean, and you guys are in like a whole different genre. I mean, I don't even know where that fits into everything sometimes. I mean, it's certainly entertaining. I mean, I have a blast watching you guys. I mean, you do some of the cutest stuff ever.
Thanks.
I was looking at your stuff and I thought, and it's so hard to do it to yourself. Oh
Yeah.
my God, it's much more difficult to put that stuff on yourself than somebody else. I mean,
Definitely.
and, that's another question. Do you guys ever transition? Do you do makeup on other people as well?
Oh yeah, I mean, the funny thing is that I started out doing not regular, but I worked at, you know, retail jobs, MAC, haunted houses, then I started working on set, and I only ever did makeup, besides beauty makeup, I only did FX makeup on other people for years before I started YouTube, and I never realized until I started YouTube how miserable it is to wear all that stuff. It's miserable, it's sticky, it's hot, it's hard to breathe, and it's definitely, it's a learning curve that I've had to get used to, because you can't see the sides of your face when you've got it built up here.
It's difficult.
It's an asset to be able to move around someone and see the whole look 360.
Well, and I mean, you can really fine tune everything and make everything invisible and perfect. You know, it's a little difficult to do that on yourself.
Yeah.
But,
besides being uncomfortable on top of everything else. Have you ever worn FX makeup like a full? Yeah.
I don't do it to myself anymore.
No.
I'm done. It's like Halloween. Oh no, I hide.
Yeah, I think that that's the time of the year for makeup artists where they're like, I want my face to have a break. Actually, everyone else can wear it around me, but I want to relax.
I mean, it's fun. I mean, now it's kind of like if I have to go do something on Halloween, I'll figure out something that's really easy to do to myself,
Like
that I
a
can
hat.
hide behind a veil or a wig.
What was your last Halloween costume?
My last Halloween, let me think now. It was either Maleficent or it was, I did like a ghost creature to one of Rick Baker's last Halloween parties he had.
Ooh.
And I did have a black veil over my face.
Do you feel the pressure though to show up with a face full of crazy makeup since you are the queen?
No, I don't feel the pressure to do that because, I don't know, it's just not who I am anyway.
Yeah.
Every time I do it, I regret it. It's like, no.
I feel ya. We know that you're a judge on Face Off, and you're also teaching classes now?
I am starting off with a master class here in Los Angeles, which is going to be really fabulous. How come you're not coming?
Who said I'm
Oh,
not?
I just put you on the spot.
No pressure, B, no pressure.
I'm doing a master class in Los Angeles, and it's going to be pretty spectacular.
What's gonna happen there?
Well, the first day we're doing, it's fundamentals of beauty and of special effects. So it gives you a little bit of everything. And it can be for beginners. Even, I have people that are already full-fledged makeup artists that do it for a living that are coming. So it's just kind of the way I do it. And it's all about, re-educating and getting the basics in there and what you really need to, the fundamentals of movie and television, makeup. So
that's really useful because that's not taught everywhere. Like you can't get that from a YouTube tutorial. That's something where set etiquette is kind of a different world and sanitation. And
I am talking about all that kind of stuff: sanitation, set etiquette, and also I'm gonna I'm going to open it up to like a lot of questions so people can ask me, personal things about, movies I've worked on and, different things. And what's really fun is like when they start asking me that, you can't shut me up because then I start telling stories. So, and then I remember all kinds of cool stuff that's happened to me on the set. So that's really fun too. But the experience, it's going to be a really cool experience because I run it at Soundstage.
Oh.
And I'm setting it up like a bullpen on a movie.
Oh, that's super cool.
So you're going to get the experience of being like working on a film.
Right. Is it just in Los Angeles or is it going to be
Well, no, we're going to take this on the road.
On the road?
Oh yeah, we're going to go to...
Get like a tour bus?
That's not a bad idea, but no. That would be very rock and roll of me. We're going to go to Chicago and Atlanta and New York right now.
Awesome. Oh.
And we might do some kind of pop-up fun things in between. I don't know, but it's going to be intimate because it's not going to be gigantic.
Okay.
So it's going to be very personalized and
Cool.
It's going to be really cool. I mean, I even had a prop master call me up and wanted his daughter to come. He had brought his daughter to visit me on the pirate set. Actually, he was a prop master on Pirates of the Caribbean, and his 7-year-old daughter came to visit me and stuff. And she's, I want to be a makeup artist. And he called me the other day and he said, my daughter's 15 now. Can she come to the class? And I said, oh yeah.
It's time.
So he's going to bring his daughter, and so I'm going to have everything from 15-year-olds to whatever. Some people will do better than others. That's all fine and dandy. You just work at your own speed. But I'm going to try to personalize it, and it's going to be really fun. I think. I mean, the goodie bag alone is upwards of almost $1,000 now. So. Yeah, I mean, my sponsors have been very generous. So
it sounds that's awesome.
That alone is worth coming for,
Well, I mean, I'm sure that's like low on the list of all the things you get from a class of Venial, but keep telling yourself it's the goodie bag. That's fun.
There might be some surprise guests there and stuff. You never know.
I will leave information in the description box below on where to find her class. That's what we YouTubers do. We tell people to go down here.
Oh, below?
Yeah,
Okay.
or on the screen, maybe right here. Pretend it's there.
Oh,
Okay.
right there?
Yep, right there. Exactly. You are good at this. Are you ever gonna make a YouTube channel?
I wouldn't know where to start. Will you teach me?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, cool. We'll
Okay.
trade information.
So lastly, I wanted to just ask you, I know that, you could be working on set right now, but you're choosing to do the masterclass. So what inspired you to want to start that?
I thought at this period in my life, I really thought it was time for me to kind of give back to other artists, to share everything that I've learned and my techniques and, the way I like to do things and share stories. And, education is probably the most important thing for all artists. And it doesn't matter where you get it, like you're talking about your YouTube kids. I mean, you have to be like a sponge. You have to get that information wherever you can get it. So for me, I think it's important to do that. So that's why I'm giving this class. I want to give back to all the other artists. I want to share my knowledge and just show people how much fun this can be to make a living at it, for sure.
Are you self-taught, or did you learn through your mentors, or did you go to any official place?
Actually, when I started doing makeup artistry, there was no schools. So I am basically self-taught.
That's awesome.
And I had mentors as well, but a lot of it was very closed back then, and it was all men, and they really and older men, and they didn't really want to share.
Right.
I worked with this one makeup artist, Fred Phillips, who was fantastic, and he was very kind and very sharing. And of course, at the same time I started, Dick Smith was out there training as well. Who we learned a lot from Dick always. But I mean, I used to hang out with Rick Baker in his garage, and we just talk about different stuff and show he'd show me things and teach me stuff, and he was still learning from Dick, and I'd go ask him a question. He goes, I don't know, let's call Dick. And I go, oh no, I couldn't call Dick. You call him and I'll just stand here,
Well, from all makeup artists everywhere, thank you for being one of the people that wants to share what they've learned over the years.
I do.
Thank you.
And I think it's really important.
Well, thank you, Neil, so much for being here.
Well, thanks for having me,
channel.
Mikey.
Of course. Let's pound it out. Oh, you're written.
Oh, sorry.
How intense. So since you are a YouTuber in training, how about
Yeah.
you sign us off?
How do I do that?
Say something like, you can sign us off.
Okay.
You want to say something like,
Hey zombies, thanks for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and check out more of the stuff in the links
Oh boy,
down
I don't know
below,
anything
and
about that.
You can say anything you want. You can go to the website.
Hey zombies, thanks for watching us today. And please go visit my website, bneilmasterclass.com.
bye guys.
Bye-bye.